Hi there, my name is Ben Keat and I'm just going to make this video to talk to some of my potential students about what UMOSRIS is going to do in order to enable the Grassroots Realm Academy, or Sierra, actually put into place what we intend to train our students with at the Academy through the UMOSRIS program. So there are two factions to the outcome of how a student's progress can go at the Academy. Firstly, you could end up running a program in the zone of ENA under UMOSRIS and have your own business practice as your own enterprise that you're trained up and you take over at the end of your training. Now, depending on the level where you top out on this side of things, you could either run the practice as the manager or owner of this practice under an umbrella of another company, which would make you a subsidiary level, an under level to what the serif who owns the main practice or company would be. So you could top out at, say, Cherub and run the practice within the other practice and take care of the management of your department, as it were, and run it according to the best possible outcome for the overall umbrella of the company of which you've associated with and who has patronized you in order to make you become fully trained and trialed on their system to enable the best facility and the best outcomes for both you and themselves. That side of things means you're running a subsidiary practice, but also on the same side of things, on this first genre that I'm talking about of how practice can pan out, you could also graduate to full seniority and become a serif on the system and run your own company from it. Now, if you do this, what that would in fact mean is that you would be the sole owner of your own practice and run it potentially within ENA in this first description of the two possible outcomes. You could run it within ENA and become the one to implement the whole business strategy, gain all the accreditation, as you'll see on contribution payment guidelines on this site. I've talked and written quite a lot on how much assets are given to you when you graduate from Hero to Serif, and how much you will be bestowed upon you to put in practice your company and make it run as you see fit with your own schematics, your own employees, your own technology that you'll have graduated through on the cherubim stage at step 4. And you will be able to run this within UMOSRIS, within the whole zone of UMOSRIS. You imagine UMOSRIS being a zone, a complete umbrella, which entails many practices that go to make up the vast tapestry of what UMOSRIS and ENA will be, which is, to cut it shortly, a giant city and a massive realm. Ultimately, with practices run in the mountains that go around the whole thing, whereby there will be serif practices within these mountains and subsidiary practices, under practices, run segmented within these 52 or 54 core practices within the mountains of ENA. But even if you graduate to seniority, you may not definitely locate yourself to one of these core central locations, these 54 locations within the mountains of ENA. You may actually locate yourself within the city or within one of the villages in the outer zones, the realm of ENA, and it's possible actually that you will just make up part of the tapestry of the whole cosmos of what ENA is. Now that's no problem as far as you're concerned, unless you particularly had your heart set on being under one of the main practices within the mountains, or being ultimately the serif of one of those practices, one of those key zones that go to make up the business network in the mountains. Now, the second side of this is obviously, I've talked in various videos about the Commonwealth of ENA and the fact we're going to have other zones that go to make up these practices. And again, at cherub stage or step 3 stage or step 5 stage, it's also possible to graduate on your own practice. And if you happen to come from another part of the world and have most of your issues located at another part of the world, it's possible then, under the umbrella of someone who's has a bigger practice and is a serif in that practice, to locate under that umbrella and build up your business under this guise. Now, in this situation, in this position that you find yourself, you will actually be able to run as a cherub your own business without being under the umbrella of another business, although you will be under the umbrella of a serif practice who has the title deeds, if you like, who has the whole Umozris reality of a zone outside in this other location of the Commonwealth. Now, this person who does this is also on the same sort of program and schematic as you, has just gone higher up the ladder. And ultimately, we're looking for more broad-minded and global orientated people who have a much wider perspective on the realities that they're going to put in place and agenda in this Commonwealth reality. Now, these people, like I said, they'll be more well-rounded. They have much more influence, technique, better in technology. These will be our fast-track students for sure. But again, it'll be much harder to graduate at serif on this actual position. But if you show the aptitude to actually have the capabilities to put in place your own schematics in architecture, your own designs in functionality of the platform and ideas that go to make up the technologies that will be needed to make the practices within, so that each each person who's underneath these characters will be able to implement their practice within this practice, because it entails part of the tapestry of this particular location. When they get to the stage of serif, they will still stay at the academy, these people, and not go straight out to the zone where their practice should be put in place. But when they stay at the academy, the main, most important thing that will be driving them at this stage is to put in place all their creativity and turn it into the architecture and start designing the architecture and landscape of the zone where they come from and where they will be exporting the practice to the Commonwealth of ENA. So this stage can be anything up to 5-6 years of going through the whole architectural design process of creating their practice and turning into the Umozris reality that they need in order to complement the reality of ENA and create a separate practice that does almost as much as ENA itself will do. You can't expect maybe the scale and size of ENA, possibly because of the amount of work and support and implementation that has gone into the pioneer phase that I've been put through as the architect of this one. Most people will find that in the other zones, they will find very easily that I'll be able to help them, and that the whole program, all the seniors and everyone in the network will be able to help them, because they have an acute understanding of how the whole operation works in the gargantuan scale of what the collective practice of ENA is going to be created into and made into. So in these zones, we'll be able to offer help, we'll be able to show people how to set up their practice, how to become a serif in another location, and how to create an ambassadorial network in the student phases of your life. So when you meet people, you win them over, you turn them into friends, and ultimately you get them to shape your directive, so that you have a wealth of ambassadors around you who can connect you to the right processes. Like most of my ambassadors were in marketing, for example, and are now in London and have been for some time. And through the marketing network, through the advertising and online purchasing and the whole way that data and all that sort of thing has been driven, that is very much my backup team that started from the friendships that I made when I was at university. Now, the same processes will be put in place in the student's life as they develop. And if they're making the right noises with these advertising connections, and if these advertising connections are doing the right sort of things for them, trialing their creativity and putting it out into the wider world, see it get implemented and make money for other people initially, that's usually the process, the way it works with these people. Then these people will be able to come back and start to create a network within their own zone that can easily facilitate the process of setting up the tapestry of their location and designing and implementing a landscape that entails the best reality, the best possible reality for the processes that have to be put in place to make the core practice, the central practice work with all its subsidiary practices and all the networks and the seraphim that they create for themselves from their own location. So, even though on our system officially you may still be a cherub, if you go out to this practice and start up your own business within under someone else's banner, then ultimately you will become a seraph of a central key Umozris Commonwealth practice, which means that you will actually be a seraph on the books of the pioneer who has gone out to that practice and set up the infrastructure and technology and everything to befit the right practices that are equipped to that location. So that's just a little bit about the two sides. I'll just recap briefly the two sides of how the Academy works, what we're actually feeding out from the Academy and making happen for the wider world. So you have the one side that are located locally. You may either be a graduate at Cherub or Hero or Step 3 and develop your practice and become a senior enough to run a small to medium-sized business within the remit of another company as your umbrella, as your patron, say within the location of ENA, or within the walls, the mountains, walls to the mountains outside. You may become part of a central practice of one of those as you're running your own business under the remit of what that entails. Or you may become a seraph in this situation, become part of the tapestry itself, become a core practice within Umozris and set up your own business that is a driving force and a key element within the strategies and technologies of what we're offering here at Umozris in ENA. And then there's the other side of it, which means that you may become a cherub and go out to a Commonwealth practice, which has already been set up by the Step 6 who is located there and implemented his or her own realities and created his or her own technologies to create their own tapestry of what their reality of the city and landscape should be there. And ultimately, as a Step 4 or Step 5 or Step 3, you may become a senior on their system if they see it right. You become a senior, which means you're a key ingredient in the location and the technology and the tapestry of that reality. So that's just a little bit about the seniority system and how they work inside and outside the location of ENA in the Commonwealth ultimately, or in the location of the platform here in Gloucestershire. Yeah, please read up on the Academy and look at the contribution payment guidelines, because you'll see how much money potentially we're going to free up from the SSP status quo systems and the ICC status quo systems that will enable us to farm the universal reality and create a shared wealth of all our assets to enable people to bestow upon them the best possible reality and to enable people to have the ultimate in backup and support in technology and all the structures that go around them. The seniors, the elders, all the people who run, the forums, which are like the public houses currently, all these people who offer a training program through the life of the student. They will all, be on the payroll as well as, filtering down to the people who really don't feel they do that much, but they still offer contribution. Everyone contributes in some way, and as you'll see on the contribution payment guidelines, everyone gets their bit because with the universal realities coming here, in order to make it profitable, we've got to look after everyone, and I mean everyone. I mean no one will be left out, no one will be left homeless, and no one will be left ultimately without a job, because the plan is to make everyone useful and to put everyone to some kind of practice where they do something worthwhile for the common good. So yeah, keep watching the videos and tune in to my next one in a month's time. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye bye.